Welcome to the Leadership Spark podcast, where we equip you to be the great leader your people deserve. This is Corey, and today we're going to continue unpacking the dark side of leadership, which is burnout. And I'm convinced of this. If you haven't been here the last 2 days, go back and listen to them so you can get the foundation of what we're talking about when it comes to burnout. But I'm convinced of this. It is impossible for me, it's impossible for you to be the great leader your people deserve, which we say that on every podcast here, if you're burned out. If you are a burned out leader, your ability to do that will be greatly diminished. And so today, what we want to talk about is 3 strategies, at least introduce you to the 3 and then start with the first one that you can implement that will help you defeat the dark side of leadership. And those 3 strategies are these. Number 1, creating boundaries. Number 2, being connected in community. So boundaries, community. Number 3, clear expectations. Boundaries, community, and expectations. If you will focus on those and you will drive action that is pragmatic in your life and you can build a system around those 3 things, it will help you prevent burnout and will help you defeat the dark side of leadership. And so today we want to talk about boundaries. So let me just define what a boundary is. In its simplest form, this is what a boundary is according to Google. Boundary is this: a line that marks the limits of an area. It's a dividing line. So if you think about a boundary between the state that you live in and the state that's next to you, or the boundary line between a country, this is a dividing line. This is a line that marks the limit of an area. This is where this country's limit ends and another country's begins. And so in our lives, we need boundaries. If we don't have boundaries, if we live a boundaryless life, then we are setting ourselves up for burnout. We are setting ourselves up for stress and anxiety and diminished effectiveness as a leader. And so I want to talk about 3 things that you can do and get very pragmatic with very practical ideas for each of these that you can implement as a leader in the workplace that will allow you to set boundaries that will prevent you from burning out. Number 1 is calendar control. I don't know how many leaders that I talk to who talk about their calendar, how their calendar is completely out of control, how they're jumping from meeting to meeting, how they feel they're being governed by or dominated by their calendar. And so we have to take control back. There has to be calendar control. So how can you do that? Let me share some practical ways that you can do it. One is you could block focus time. You can put blocks on your calendar that allow you to focus or do deep work. I do this all the time. I will put a block on my calendar. When there is something I know that I need to get done, I will block it off on my calendar. And I know that when people see that, they can't schedule a meeting for me during that time, because that's the time that I'm going to focus on deep work. I'm going to focus on the things that I really need to get done that are non-negotiable. And so I want to put that on my calendar. Another thing that you could do is build transition time in between meetings. That may sound very simple, but I know a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this, that jump from meeting to meeting without any kind of transition. I can't take a break. And so I've learned to add things to my calendar that allow me to take a break. I can go outside and I can take a quick walk around the building. I can refresh. I can get a drink. I can go to the restroom. I can do the things that I need to do to be able to function normally in between meetings. But sometimes I need to schedule that in, or I will be dominated by someone else scheduling back to back to back to meetings throughout the day that really, really will drain me and exhaust me. The third thing is that you can include personal commitments on your calendar. I do this all the time as well. If I have a workout or I have family time or something with my kids, I will put it on my calendar so people can see it. And I can ask them to respect that time and not to schedule meetings during that time. But I have to put it on my calendar as a fixed appointment. And so calendar control is 1. 2 would be physical and digital boundaries. And this could be very difficult because of access. The digital access that people have to us is unprecedented at this point. But we can prevent it. We can build boundaries. 1 would be to have a dedicated workspace that you step into when you're offline. Like you're going to physically put yourself in a different environment whenever you are offline to remind yourself physically that you're no longer working. You can turn off notifications during your focus time that you blocked up on your calendar or during personal hours. Turn off all the notifications on your phone. You can use the do not disturb on your phone. I have deleted apps from my phone. I don't have Slack on my phone, for example, because I have a bad habit. When I would be driving home or driving anywhere, I would stop at a red light. I'm checking Slack to see if there's anything that's coming up. And I've deleted it from my phone so that I can create a boundary that won't allow me to get consumed with that because I know myself. And so I can set physical or digital boundaries. And the last one is learning to say no, specifically with your leadership, which could be challenging. You could be challenging to step into that, but you can say no. You can say things like, that's a great idea. Can we revisit that next week when I have more capacity? Or you could say, or ask the question, what can we deprioritize to make space for the thing that you're asking me to do? Let's work together on what we can say no to be able to say yes to what you're asking me to do versus just piling it on and doing something in addition to what you've already committed to do. You can protect strategic time by declining the meetings that don't serve key goals. And one of the things that I would do is I would say, hey, if a meeting doesn't have a purpose and a meeting doesn't have an intended outcome, I'm not going. And so you can start to set the standard so that you spend your time in places that you really need to be. And so those are some ideas on ways that you can set boundaries. I would encourage you to come up with your own. Your go and do would be pick one of these or pick one that you need to set up as a boundary that would allow you to have the space that you need, not to be susceptible to burnout, but you can defeat the dark side of leadership. So think about that. Your go and do is think about boundaries that you can implement that become that dividing line, or that line that marks the limit of an area in your life to where you need to have a dividing line that will allow you to protect yourself, which ultimately protects your performance, protects your health, and protects your team's performance as well.